drop it.
Someone who was on a Division I Power 5 roster at the quarterback position was telling us about some conversations that he had in the shadows about outcomes of games and such. And so that was pretty interesting.
This was a guy who used to play quarterback in the SEC, keep it super vague. But he said he had what he believed these Italian mafia guys come up to me and were offering him, trucks, cash. And they said, don't worry. We got someone on every team in the SEC. They were laying it out for him. Hey, maybe these games are a little hashtag rigged, Ryan.
I don't even know if Justice knows about this. Probably. I was approached at Jason Aldean's bar in Nashville by the Italian mob.
What?
To fix football games.
Like Al Capone?
I don't know.
I'll be honest. This sounds like a story that
the mafia?
I do not need to be a part of.
Well, now you are.
Am I going to get whacked?
I'm not part of this.
Okay.
Like guilty by association.
Here's what happened, right? This was probably my third weekend in Nashville.
Yep.
We're getting ready for training camp. We're there in the summer.
Yep.
And I'm just there at the bar, and a guy, slick black hair. He's got a black leather jacket.
Please stop describing
fits the
this,
bill.
Man. Please stop describing.
No, this is probably
His name
every
is-
Italian mobster that exists.
His government name is...
Yeah, exactly. I'm just outing him right now. No.
Postcode.
He comes up to me, and he goes, "Yo, you're so, you're Mo."
Wait, he knew who you were.
Yes.
This is already a bad start to this.
Yes.
I feel like they probably
But
still know who you
I was
are.
here with a football group, and I went to get drinks, and so I'm alone right now. I'm not with my friend group. He comes up to me. He introduced himself, and he said, "We regularly talk to guys in your position about fixing games." He said he named guys in the SEC who I don't want to say their names because they're in the NFL right now, and that's a bad look.
deal?
It's a bad deal. But University of Alabama, I will tell you that.
Holy crap.
He said almost every game in the SEC is rigged.
Too much for me.
The Italian mafia is fixing Alabama's football games.
That's what I'm telling you. He said every
mafia?
SEC game.
Yeah, mafia.
He says mafia.
Mafia.
So let's be honest. Does Alabama really need help fixing games? Like, they're going to win anyways.
Are they fixing games
That's
to lose,
true.
though? Are they fixing games in the opposite
Well, they
direction?
don't lose a lot of games. But
But are they throwing picks on purpose?
there was an
and stuff like that?
exact figure he offered me. How much do you think it was?
Can you give us a ball? Or should we just go hot cold? He offered you 20 grand.
That's way off. I can
Hot or cold?
buy very nice vehicles for what he offered me.
100K.
You're getting closer.
150K. We'll just keep going up in 50s.
He offered me $300,000.
He offered you $300,000
Right.
for what?
Can I
Say
just
for
say
what?
two things? Can I just say
Well, okay, so no.
what?
Here's the thing,
I
right?
just want to say two
Have you
things.
seen?
You guys keep talking. I just want to say two things.
We're all
Go
gonna
ahead.
First thing, 100K is not that close to 300K.
It is
Big
not,
difference, by the way. Second thing, I don't want to be part of this story. So anything that's been said, I have nothing to do
You
with
weren't
this.
at Vanderbilt at the time. This is the
good.
year before you got here.
Good. I didn't even know what this guy
I'm
was.
just sharing. I'm just sharing you the story, right?
True.
And so you take what you owe. Maybe
take it.
maybe he was capping. Maybe he wasn't part of the mafia. I'm just telling you my side of the story. And
He
this is
offered
what
you
he told
300
me.
bags for what?
So here's the thing. Have you seen that scene in Wolf of Wall Street where Jordan
boat?
Belfort is talking to the FBI agent,
boat?
and he said, "For these services, I have helped someone."
I hook up my boys.
Yeah, I hook up my boys.
Yeah.
He said something along those lines. He said, for something like this, my clients, 250 to 300K for a game.
The Italian mob offered you 300K to do
Can we
what?
stop saying that?
And here's the thing.
offered you 300K.
It gets worse. I don't even know if I should be saying this. It gets worse.
Then don't.
I said
I'm
that
joking. I
earlier.
say it. We were too far in. We're down the rabbit hole now at this point.
You can
All right.
always stop.
Justice is scared. I don't know.
Justice Shelton Mosley, who lives at... I'm
Chill
joking.
out,
Yeah,
bro.
exactly.
chill out, bro.
Okay. He what was I saying?
He offered you something else apart from this.
Oh, no. He took down my number.
Oh.
I was scared to say no.
Okay.
Because I was at the bar. He said, "What's your number?" And what am I going to tell him? No. So
I'm into girls.
I have the text from him. He said, let's go out to dinner tomorrow. He wanted to have a business meeting over dinner the next night. And to that, I didn't respond to the text. I didn't want to be indicted in the situation. But that's what happened, man. Crazy. So like,
to this day, he's been wondering if you aired him or not, and now you're saying live, I did air that text that you sent.
Yeah. Oh. We also didn't think, far
This
enough
was real.
on this story too.
no
We're
way.
2 for 2 here. This is a problem.
Do you know when someone's trying to manipulate you? It's not always easy, especially when that person is supposed to be a trusted source of news. Operation Mockingbird was created during the early years of the Cold War to disseminate propaganda to the public through CIA-backed journalists. In 1975, the Church Committee was created to investigate abuses by the CIA. In their official report, they stated that they found 50 journalists who had official but secret relationships with the CIA, though they chose not to name those names. In 1977, investigative reporter Carl Bernstein, already famous for his investigation of Watergate, published in Rolling Stone magazine that over 400 members of the press and 25 large organizations were secretly on the CIA's payroll. These journalists and organizations were tasked with writing and publishing fake stories that could manipulate public perception. When bribes didn't work, journalists would be threatened or blackmailed. Though Operation Mockingbird has never been officially confirmed, we know from classified records that these types of operations happened.
So are y'all aware that Disney, who owns ABC and ESPN, paid $3 billion to have the exclusive rights to the SEC network to broadcast all the SEC sports and football games? And here you go right here. It says ESPN is an American international basic cable sports channel owned by the Walt Disney Company. And again, Disney owns ABC as well. So to the average person, they're just going to dismiss this. But if you know how subliminal subconscious programming works, you hide things in plain sight. If you look at this, you can see the number 666, which is the number of the devil. It's the number of the mark of the beast. And if you look into it deeper and go down the rabbit hole, you'll find out, there's like Club 33 underneath Disneyland, and Walt Disney was a Freemason. And they have a lot of sexual innuendos within their children's movies, the Disney movies. That's not the point of today's video, but for those who know, you know. And if this is new to you, I encourage you to do some research on this.
Georgia or Texas? We talked about earlier the teams in the SEC, the big teams, the Georgia, right? The Alabamas, the LSUs, all of them have one loss. There's only one team in the SEC with an unblemished record. So that only means one thing. There's a new sheriff in the SEC, and it ain't Reggie Hammonds. It's the Texas Longhorns, baby. Hook 'em.
Texas.
And I just have to point this out, but James Franklin, who I believe was the coach, it says the coach of Vanderbilt, he had this quote: "There's this guy in Alabama, I think his name is Nicky Satan. You guys have probably heard of him before. I'm going to outwork him." And if you've gone down this rabbit hole as well, there's secret societies at the University of Alabama. It's known as the Machine. Again, that's another rabbit hole. I encourage you to look down it.
This is one of the biggest wins in college football today. Give me the Longhorns. Remaining undefeated.
Test, but I think Texas is the #1 team in the country, and I think they prove it tonight.
Longhorns.
They're hoping to light that tower. Bulldogs tonight.
Well, it should not surprise us that ESPN/Disney is looking for any other way to dominate and grow their bottom line. And this time, much like the NFL, which I reported the other day, stands to make $270 million, climbing in to the gambling arena We know more and more states are legalizing sports betting. Here we go with ESPN getting involved and trying to make that almighty dollar. This is from Awful Announcing. ESPN is looking to license its brand to sports betting companies, has had talks with DraftKings and Caesars.
And I just need to point out that Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, who's the backup quarterback, and Quinn Ewers is the starting quarterback, together they're making over $5 million. And here's an interesting tweet. Lamborghinis lined up outside the Texas Athletic facility where recruits enter for their official visits this weekend. Just 3 years ago, college football players were getting suspended for autograph sessions. We've come a long way. And I get it why people want these athletes to make money, because the schools are already making so much money off these sports. But money has the ability to corrupt and make people greedy. The Bible says the root of all evil is the love of money, which is greed.
Down conversion of the night. And he smacked. Ewers has pounded. The ball comes out. Still rolling around. Still up for grabs. And it looks like Georgia. Etienne on the toss. Gets into the end zone. Meanwhile, Texas faces a 3rd and 7. Ewers from the end zone, still trying to buy time, stumbles forward and takes a... They rush for Ewers. Intercepted. He threw it.
Anybody watching, when a corner turns his shoulders like that to a receiver, that's man-to-man. He gets out of man-to-man. Now he's in zone. Now
I just need to point out here that that guy in the background is wide open. And look at that, 85 right there. He is wide open.
Up a bunch of yards, not just to Alabama, but also Mississippi State. All-out blitz. Ewers cannot escape. Hey,
up if he got around him.
2nd and 21. Manning from the pocket. Ball comes loose. It's scooped up by Walker. Inside the Georgia 40. Fake it to Weisner. Ewers across the middle, and the catch is made by Matthew Golden, and he's down. He's been held in check tonight. They look to him this time, and Isaiah Bond will score. And Texas ball back, brings some pressure against Beck, who stands and delivers. On the sideline, it's intercepted, picked up by Barron. Touchback! Jahdae Barron still alive, dragged down. Ewers. Cross the middle, caught, touchdown, Texas. This is the back. Texas brings pressure again. Beck has time to lift. Delivers a throw, and wide open is Smith. That's a huge... Final minute of the quarter now. Jones reverse. This is Lovett coming around. Back to the quarterback. Flea flicker. Oscar dealt the tight end is rambling free. Blue is the back. Dogs crowding the line. Don't bring pressure. Ewers has time. Ball knocked out of his hand. No ruling. Pressure comes. Backpedaling across the middle. Catch me. But short of the first down. Rush comes. Ewers. Desperation. Fling.
I don't like to get into that because I don't believe the game is really decided on the field. So, I don't get into all the X's and O's and talking, man. Like I said, I played in the game. I set a Super Bowl record, and we knew every play they was running before the game started. So, hey, who am I to say?
Whenever I release a video exposing how the NFL is rigged, there's always at least a few NFL fanboys who haven't figured it out yet, who like to say stupid stuff like, yeah, because all these players could keep it a secret. If everyone is in on it, then how come no one has ever came forward and said anything? How come no one has ever blown the whistle? Former players have blown the whistle. Just because you're too busy watching scripted NFL games and you haven't paid attention doesn't mean that former players haven't come out and exposed the league for being rigged. Take a listen to former Super Bowl champion Dwight Smith as he spills the beans right here on just exactly how rigged the NFL really is.
Super Bowl 37 champion Dwight Smith, who was a part of that team, 2 pick sixes. We all know what he did against the Raiders, but he joins us here in the Ronnie T. Crash Show as we count down to Super Bowl Sunday. Well, I mean, this is something that no one's ever seen before. I mean, you're hosting the Super Bowl. The Bucs are in it. It's Brady versus Mahomes. I mean,
that was something I predicted at the beginning of the year. I said if the NFL wanted to have the home team in the Super Bowl, this would be the perfect year. Pandemic, people can't travel, so it's not a shock to me.
How big of an advantage do you think it will be for the Buccaneers not having to travel anywhere? Because obviously, when you were in the Super Bowl.
That's not no advantage. I don't have no advantage.
No advantage? Okay.
No.
All right, so.
That's like saying they have advantage at every home game during the year. So, I mean, it ain't like they won every home game. Y'all know all the X's and O's, man. I'm just sitting at home watching. I don't like to get into that because I don't believe the game is really decided on the field. So, I don't get into all the X's and O's and talking, man. Like I said, I played in the game. I set a Super Bowl record, and we knew every play they was running before the game started. So, hey, who am I to say?
Well, tell us about that week leading up to the Super Bowl, because that was the big thing. Bill Callahan was the Raiders coach at the time. Obviously, John Gruden had just come over. Tell us about that week of preparation leading up to the game and how it was executed by you guys. I mean, you could know which plays are coming. And
Tim Brown and Jerry Rice come out and say that they made them run Jerry Rice. John Gruden's offense.
Yes. Yep. It was his offense, and you guys knew exactly what was coming. Did you know every single play?
They didn't run that offense all year, though. Ain't it odd that you would run it when you're playing against us?
So did you guys know every play before the ball was snapped?
I'm just saying, man, the game ain't decided on the field. That's all I'm going to say. Like I said, I predict who's going to be in the Super Bowl. It ain't about who has the best players. Football is entertainment. So what's the most entertaining Super Bowl? The Bucs in their first one against Patrick Mahomes. Has nothing to do with if these are the best teams, because we know that these aren't the best teams. The Bucs are not the best NFC team.
So who's the best team in the NFC, in your opinion?
The Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
But the Bucs beat them at Lambeau, though. I mean, the Bucs proved it. They went there. They beat Aaron Rodgers at his place.
You can say what you want, man. Like I say, the game ain't decided on the field.
Looking at a Texans-Colts Sunday Night Football Week 18 to decide who's going to the playoffs?
Well, when you look at that schedule, there's going to have to be a game. There's a game that's moved to Saturday. So The league likes to script this for the ultimate drama, however it's coordinated, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be,
What you said in script, there was a word you said.
I did say that. They do like to script this for the ultimate drama. I did say that.
Oh. What was that all?
Yeah. I'm just telling you. Listen, we all know the deal, right? The league is going to script this for as much drama as possible.
No, they don't script anything. You can't say that.
What the hell?
I mean, don't tell me that.
What is this?
I was just a punter. I didn't get the script. Did you? You had to.
I get the script.
You had to get the script.
Never.
Yeah, had to.
Never.
All those positions you played 3 different positions. You had to get the script.
When you got the concussion, remember? And you played the game.
Oh yeah, I faked a hammy pull on the line.
I mean, whoever would have scripted, whoever would have imagined the script that Mason Rudolph and Jake Browning would be meeting in Week 16 to help decide playoff fates, right? Like, that was quite an idea in the script. But
And then as that thing starts unfolding, I realized quickly why CFO Phil said, oh no. That's because the worst play in the history of football. Who do we blame? Do we blame the NFL as a whole because they're rigging games? Did you guys ask Rappaport about that?
Yeah.
Are they doing that or not?
Oh, yeah. He had no comment. He said, no, that's why you got to watch the games till the very end, because anything can happen. But, yeah, it was bullshit. It is rigged. There's no question. Clear bat. Should have won.
So that clip was from September of 2022. You can clearly hear Pat and his crew of cronies all agreeing that the NFL rigged the end of that game. Now, Pat had convinced a bunch of his audience to bet alongside of him on a big parlay, and he and his boys spend this entire segment talking about how the NFL rigged the end of that game to screw over not only him, but everyone who bet alongside of him. Then fast forward about 4 months, January 2023, Pat McAfee and his crew of cronies are saying it's impossible to rig the NFL, too many people would have to be involved, and only crazy people on the internet think that the NFL is rigged. So which is it, Pat? Do you think the NFL rigged the end of that game that you lost money on, or is it just crazy people on the internet who think that the NFL is rigged?
Hate to break that news to a large portion of the internet that thinks the NFL is rigged all of a sudden.
Hate to break that news to a large portion of the internet that thinks the NFL is rigged all of a sudden.
If the NFL was rigged, which a lot of people are alluding to, because sports gambling has been very difficult this season. It has been tough to pick who's going to do what. It feels like sports books have a better grasp on teams than anybody else on earth right now. The public will feel something completely in entirety. We all agree on it, and the complete opposite will take place. That has been the story of this NFL season, which is always good for the sports books, especially whenever it's becoming legalized right now. In a ploy to dominate the world and take everybody's money, there are people on the internet that think the NFL and sports books are coming together to rig games. Now, who do we blame? Do we blame the NFL as a whole because they're rigging games? Did you guys ask Rappaport about that?
Yeah.
Are they doing that or not?
But, yeah, it was bullshit. It is rigged. There's no question. Clear bat. Should have won.
The amount of people that would have to be in on that would be so large that you would assume that information would leak at some point that was taking place.
Here it is, 100% proof. The NFL is rigged, and they use magnetic gloves and magnetic balls to make these one-handed catches. I told you so. I told you so. The NFL is putting computer chips inside the game balls. Don't believe me? Google it. Now, I discussed in my last video that I believe that these computer chips can be turned into an electromagnet, and thus you can have the ball be manipulated with magnets and technology and cause, let's say, a field goal that was gonna be good to bounce off the uprights instead. Now, this isn't the only way that this technology is being used. I also believe that this very same magnetic technology is being implemented into the players' gloves, especially wide receivers, making all those awesome one-handed catches that they routinely seem to make much easier when the ball is sticking to their hands, literally.
Hi, I'm Colin Loeffler with the Minnesota Vikings, and this is the Ultimate Reception. Now every kid can catch like a pro. Come take a look.
Ultimate Reception is the most innovative youth sports entertainment product in years. Players using an Ultimate Reception football and gloves are so effective they are not allowed in any high school or NCAA football game. Ultimate Reception features a patent-pending magnetic grip system that literally makes the ball stick to your hand. And with the smallest, strongest magnets in the world on your side, it usually only takes one hand.
All right, so subject one, what did you think about the Ultimate Reception?
It's amazing. You can't even drop it with the gloves. Just make a lot of catches you weren't allowed to make without the gloves. It's pretty awesome.
So how easy did it make it catching it one-handed?
Stick your glove out there and the ball sticks to it.
Good deal.
We're in an NFL equipment room. This is the place where drops go to die, where one-handed miracles happen every day. Do you know why? Because this is where they keep these new, stickier than a frog's tongue gloves. The NFL is in love with the gloves. The reviewers are raving. Wide receiver Hakeem Nicks. You don't even need to think about catching it. Hall of Fame analyst John Madden. Pretty soon these gloves are going to catch a ball without a hand in them.
I think a little grip is definitely, helps a little bit, especially when they're new. One hand is amazing, man. Amazing, man. What do you mean? It just sticks. It just sticks.
It sticks so often that the NFL is investigating whether these gloves make it too easy. The aluminum bat of the NFL?
No, I don't think. It's an accessory. It's accessory.
It's not an aid?
No.
Because we've been going all over town, and some people are catching it pretty easy with these gloves. Like who? Like everybody. We started with the receivers at Miami's South Beach Senior High School, where we first asked them to make one-handed catches the old-fashioned way. We didn't see many. All right, High Tides, what's your record this year?
2-7.
2-7? We're going to get you better. This is our game plan. Sticky gloves. Let's do it. From here on in, you're going to catch every pass, every bus. You're going to catch colds you didn't even want to catch. This is going to do it. All ready? Gloves on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Gloves! Look at him, 6 in a row. And if you think gloves help on the football field, you ought to see what they do often.
¡Qué fácil, Dios mío! ¡Súper fácil!
Because let's face it, if somebody like me can do it, then you know it's too easy.
Being that this magnetic grip technology has been proven to exist, I'm going to consider that the NFL does in fact use this technology in pivotal moments of games so that wide receivers, for instance, can make these amazing one-handed catches. People can say what they want about the NFL rigging games with refs. I say that they rig games in a multitude of ways. You can have refs throw bullshit flags just as easy as you can have a wide receiver make a fantastic one-handed catch with his magnetic gloves. And I even think that these gloves can be activated, as in turned on and off at key moments of the game. And furthermore, I think all the players and all the coaches are in on it. And everyone is involved. If they're getting a paycheck, they've signed a contract, they're involved. And if you're wondering, well, why hasn't anyone come out and said anything? Former players have come out and admitted that the league is rigged. Don't believe me? Google it. Let's see what sort of excuses the fanboys come up with for this one. All the fanboys that told me I was crazy, what's up now?
About 100 years ago, this big organization with many branches, they wanted to rule the world basically using Britain as a nucleus of a system, an embryo, which also was going to be joined with the US under the Anglo-American establishment, wrote about the kind of culture and the changes of culture over a 100-year period that they would actually design, implement, and bring in. And H.G. Wells talked about it too. He talked about arenas. He says arenas could be put up across the world for sports, for instance. Now at that time, sports was something that children, school children were into. Adults became adults and got onto adult things. So it was unimaginable at the time that people could actually believe that there was even a need for adult sports and entertainment, never mind having arenas built across the world. But he said we can do this and foist basically a sports culture for the males. Using a tribal system, we're all tribal to an extent. That's why we even bother to vote for a tribal leader. This is well understood. That's why we're supplied with these leaders. And because the average man was to become more disengaged from his own destiny as the expert class arose, it was decided that the males would get their outlet basically, gradually becoming helpless as males through sports. Therefore they'd have a tribal team they could identify with, they could cheer them on as they were winning. In their own personal lives they were getting nowhere, they were getting disenfranchised in a sense as experts took over decision making for them in all kinds of fields. So this was psychology at use, planned before they even implemented the sports.
That's why they pay athletes these fantastic salaries. I was listening to the radio the other day. They just contracted to pay one player on one team $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive, and when the people are asking questions, and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum. And he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world, so that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is, so they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated, so they don't ever question the emperor. That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball team $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year. It is the Roman circus. I know men who don't know anything in the world except who plays third base for the Mets, and they think that's a great accomplishment. And they meet and pat each other on the back and bond and go have cocktails and talk about what this guy that plays third base for the Mets did in last night's game. It's sad. It's really sad.
When radio came along, of course, they used that to the maximum. Sports for the men, soaps basically for the women, and then in came television, as I say, with its alpha state, its hypnotic state. And sure enough, around the 1960s, really, 50s and 60s, it took off. It really, really took off. And men became glued on Saturday nights to the sports shows. A culture industry, which is called by its own the culture industry. The Soviet Union had a department called the culture industry. Their actors and directors were called the cultural leaders, because they would, like a computer, people are like computers, all you have to do is keep giving them new updates every so often, and you can change an entire country or a nation or a block of nations who are all getting the same uploads, upgrades at the same time. along certain paths. Today we call it political correctness. Most people want to belong to their peer group. They want to be the same as everyone else when it comes to opinions. In fact, they judge their own personal sanity by bouncing ideas off their neighbors and friends who will answer back and agree on these same topics in kind. It doesn't matter if the topics or what you're getting are facts or utter nonsense, as long as everyone agrees at the same time. You'll say, well, I'm sane, and your friends will all agree because they've had the same information given to them. If it's on TV and a famous face says something, then it must be true. He doesn't have to show you facts or anything else. You've been brought up with these faces. That's why they keep these guys on television into their 70s and 80s. You've grown up with this father figure who's on television every night at 6 o'clock, in your house, in your room, staring right at you. And he's a father figure. Would he tell you a lie? So you naturally never suspect him. And this same man will lead you through new topics. He'll introduce experts on the topics. They'll have a little summary at the end of every talk, and you are now left with the conclusion that's presented to you. You don't arrive at it, it's given to you, and it's good enough for you. We're programmed today perfectly, just like machines. We tie this in with the Brzezinski. Brzezinski said in 2 Ages. Now this guy was way up with the NSA. He's a master geopolitician. He admits he works in 20, 50-year periods to do with geopolitics in other countries. But he said himself, the public will shortly be unable to think or reason for themselves. It was meaning by the form of information that was given to them, the type, the formulas that were in use then in the 1970s. He says, eventually they'll be unable to think or reason for themselves. And eventually, he said, they will expect the media to do all their thinking and reasoning for them. Well, that's happened today. That's why people today can't think outside of the programming from television. This is a scientific dictatorship, which Bertrand Russell said, and the Huxleys said, both Aldous and Julian Huxley said they would bring in the scientifically controlled society.
Is there any room in a kind of society where these manipulations are not taking place for this type of entertainment or any type of entertainment at all?
If people understand that a game is a game, football's a game. But let me tell you something. When 150 of the most powerful men and women in the world can meet in secret in Baden-Baden, Germany, and plot the fate of billions, and nobody even cares about it. But 6 football players go to lunch together, and it's in the headlines across the country. You have a reflection of the society in which that exists. And it is a sick, sick society that is doomed to self-destruction.
So based on that scenario, there's some truth into what these men are looking at.
Absolutely, and that's what makes me so sick, is that I'm trying to wake up a people who on a daily basis are proving the ones that I'm warning them about to be right.
Mm-hmm. Well, so that even though a minority, there are people out there that you recognize are awake to this, if they don't do something about it, they will lose that ability to be free in that way.
That's correct.
Whether they might think, well, I don't need to worry about it because I know what I know and I'm fine.
That's
it doesn't
right.
work that way. There's a connection here to everything.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. A nation of people who are willing to send their sons and daughters that they profess that they love to a foreign country to die, and they use the excuse to themselves that they're sending them off to defend our country, and they know damn well that's a lie, are doomed.
Krishna, Christ, Guru, God, Krishna, Christ, Guru, God, Krishna, Christ, Guru, surrender to thee. I surrender to thee. I surrender to thee. God, Krishna, Christ, Gurus. God, Krishna, Christ, Gurus. God, Krishna, Christ, Gurus. God, Krishna, Christ, Gurus.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.